I thought he played really well.
Yeah, he looks good. And look, the Eagles have themselves a quarterback problem because what are they going to do with Wentz next year?
He played exceptionally well, and he hurt us. When a team rushes for 250 yards, not a lot good can happen.
Like, he's a natural leader. I thought overall there were some good things, and really we just needed that. He gave us that spark. Kind of gave us a spark as a team.
Like right now.
Some people would say the Eagles have a quarterback problem. Others would say the Eagles have a quarterback solution. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin were presented by Progressive Insurance. It was quite a Monday in Philadelphia after a spark of a Sunday. It's Doug Peterson's own word. We needed somebody to give us a spark. Jalen Hurts provided that in a huge, shocking win over the New Orleans Saints to end their 9-game winning streak. And next up for the Birds, it'll be another pair of birds, the Cardinals Sunday in the desert. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Let's get straight to Doug Peterson. He was asked this question Monday morning on Sports Radio 94 WIP just hours after Hurts saved the Eagles' season.
Will he start Sunday in Arizona?
I'm going to take a look at yesterday. I'm going to look at a lot of different things before I make that determination this week.
Now, saving the season is a relative term, but he did certainly turn the tide. What turned the tide for Doug Peterson after being so non-committal? 3 hours after making the statement you just heard, he said this.
After going through the film and really looking back even to last week and the preparation and everything, I'm gonna continue with Jalen this week as the starter. There's no issue with Carson and I look at maybe what I do or how I call the game. Maybe I can approach it a little bit differently. Moving forward that way. Listen, teams have a lot of film on your starter. They have ways to prepare for your starter, and they can take away certain things, and we've got to be able to compensate for that. But there's been no issue between us.
So if you're watching SportsCenter yesterday and you saw this wouldn't qualify as breaking news. I think it would qualify as obvious news. So, Jay, why did Doug Peterson essentially have to even go out there a second time? Why do you think, after hearing both of those comments, he just couldn't have saved us all the trouble and just said it Monday morning, since we all knew it was a fait accompli? We all knew it was going to be Jalen
because he had to watch the tape, Zubin. He had to watch the tape to make the ultimate decision about how Jalen Hurts played. Look, we all knew it was obvious, and I know Key's going to sit up here and say the coaches doesn't have to give you anything. He doesn't need to say anything. Then why did he give us something 3 hours after he just said he didn't make a decision? Like, if you're going to say it's due to scheming, then why not wait until Wednesday or Thursday to make those comments? It's my only thing about saying it feels like Doug Peterson, and he said it during that because I listened to the entire transcript. He said, I was thinking of Carson. It still feels like Doug Peterson is thinking about, how do I need to properly articulate what is going to happen with this team so I don't lose Carson Wentz? Instead of going in the other direction, which is, how do I give Jalen Hurts as much confidence as possible moving forward after a significant win? Now, you don't have to break down Carson or belittle Carson in order to raise Jalen Hurts up. You can do both at the same time. I just don't understand why you wait 2.5 hours and then all of a sudden you come to an ultimate conclusion that, hey, yeah, by the way, Jalen Hurts is our starter after going back and reviewing the tape and understanding how significant of a game he had against the number one defense in the NFL.
Key, are you speechless for the first time in your life?
I don't know if you've been in the studio too long by yourself, though, Zubin, with that comment. But anyway, no, I was waiting for you to re-tee me, but I thought you were going to re-tee me back up. But anyway, this is what I would say. You're a coach. You want to assess what goes on. I understand we saw it from the television standpoint. They saw it from the sidelines. The teammates rallied around it. But from a coaching standpoint and a coaching your assistants and all of them, you guys got to get back in. You got to look at the film. You got to see the things that you did right, the things that you did wrong, your opponent, watch a little clip on the opponent, see what makes the most sense, and just take your time doing it. There's no rush to do it. What you're off today? What's the rush? Tuesday is your off day. So, okay, I named him the starter 3 hours later. Whippy, big deal. I could have did it immediately after the game, or I could do it Wednesday morning doing my presser before practice. It doesn't matter. It only matters to people that's so fixated on what's going to happen. Oh, my God, he's got to give him his due. He's got to extend an olive branch to him. Don't worry about fracturing Carson Wentz. It's not fracturing Carson Wentz. It's the respect of trying to figure out how to make sure that the quarterback room stays a certain way just in case you have to go back to Carson Wentz. And I think that's what Coach was doing there, and I have no problem with it at all. We all knew that Jalen Hurts was going to eventually become the starter for the second week in a row.
I guess
not that big of a deal.
I guess, Key, though, if you from a football insider expert perspective, you watching that game, I know that you're not a coach, but you watching that game, did you conclude after that game that Jalen Hurts was not significant in that game? Was there any doubt in your mind that you thought, hey, after this game, I may have to go back to Carson Wentz?
Nothing at all suggested that, Jay, but I also understand how coaches do things. If you would have asked me immediately after the game, what would have happened? I could have got the manual. I would have turned to page 250 and said, don't answer this question. Wait 24 hours, cool down period, before I answer question about quarterback starting. No one does that. They don't do it. Think about it. Sean Payton waited forever to make a decision on Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. That's just what they do. That's just what they do. Period.
I don't know. I never heard Sean Payton talk about after Taysom Hill won a game saying, hey, well, still a question about Jameis Winston. Will he play? Like, it didn't go back and forth. All I'm saying, it feels like this is one of those scenarios where if you're Jalen Hurts... But that question
wasn't raised to Sean after Taysom Hill's first victory. No one came at him and said, is it Jameis Winston? Because Jameis Winston is not making $130 million and $107 million of guaranteed money.
I understand.
So that question never was posed to Sean.
It just feels like it's one of those scenarios for Jalen Hurts that he has to actually go take this thing that Doug Peterson doesn't want to give it to him, that he needs to go take it, which he had a mentality you have to do anyway. There's no surprise. But it just feels like he has to go against not only the teams he's playing against per weekend, but he also has to go against a head coach who doesn't necessarily believe that he has what it takes to energize a team and sustain that.
See, I wouldn't say that, though. I don't think that that's the case with Doug Peterson at all. I really don't. I think Doug Peterson wants to play Jalen Hurts because he knows he gives him the best chance to win. He's just doing it the way that he was taught how to do it as a head coach, coming under Andy Reid's and those type of guys. That's how I see it.
I hear you.
Drafted in round 2 for the moment, QB1. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. On the way, how the Browns and Ravens combined yesterday to do something the NFL hasn't seen in 98 years. That's next on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Now